Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Our second guests are Dochi Nwagwe and Dr. Victor Ugo. Dochi is the managing director of Chisovn, a mental health facility working with people living with mental disorders. And Dr. Victor Ugo is a medical doctor and a founder of Mentally Aware Nigeria Initiative. Together, they are addressing general misconceptions about bipolar disorder and are organizing an event this Friday around World Bipolar Day. Welcome to the morning show, Dochi. Welcome back to the morning show.
Yes, great
Welcome
to be back.
the morning show, Dr. Victor. Let's start off with what bipolar disorder really is. Because you see a lot of people throw that word around a lot. Like, oh, she's bipolar. No, he's bipolar. Like, you're acting bipolar. But what exactly is a bipolar disorder?
Okay, I'm just gonna say what it's not. It's not mood swings.
It's not mood swings, okay.
It's not, I'm sad in the morning, then I'm happy later in the afternoon, and then that's, it means I'm bipolar. People try to adjectify mental illness a lot, and that's something that bipolar is also like a victim of. So I'm just gonna define bipolar disorder as, it's a mood disorder that is characterized by alternating periods of highs and lows. The highs, we refer to them as manic phases or manic stages, and the lows are referred to them as depressive stages. But there's so much more than just mood swings.
Right.
It leads to, it begins to affect the person's daily life, school, work, everything really. So when you have those swings and it begins to affect your daily life, then we start over a long period of time.
How frequent are these mood swings?
For some cases, it varies from person to person. You will have something we call rapid cycling, where people get to have phases like up to like 5 times in a year. When I say 5 times in a year, it means that you can go from being in a depressive phase to a manic phase up to 5 times in a year. While for some people, it's just like once. It just happens once in a year.
Right.
Okay, so you can have like, one issue that we look at is that it's difficult to diagnose bipolar disorder because most of the symptoms of bipolar disorder are found in every other mental illness. So we have the depressive phase, which is basically just depression.
Right, and depression is a mental
It's already
illness.
a mental illness, and you have all the symptoms of depression along with it. You have the low energy, you have the low mood, you have the lack of interest in things that used to pleasure you. You have all those core symptoms in that depression.
Right.
So that's why for most people, they present just as depressives. In fact, most people that are coping with depression are actually bipolar. They just haven't experienced the manic phase yet.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, so that's something we have to consider for everything. So we look at bipolar disorder as that disorder that's characterized by that mania. That's actually the core thing that we look at. That's the functional symptom. When someone has mania, then it's more likely to stay bipolar.
Wow, so it's not as simple as it looks, just mood swings. Now, Dochi, the intersection between artists and bipolar disorder and just mental health in general have been they're very unison. You've seen people like Kanye West, who is a brilliant rapper, a very great artist, have mental disorders. We've seen people like Beethoven. He also had mental disorders, but he was a great
Demi
painter. Demi Lovato.
Yeah.
All these people that are very good creatives. Now, how would you describe this intersection, and tell us like why do you think it's connected?
I think that it can be therapy.
How did your event also?
So I call it art therapy, honestly. I feel like being able to talk about mental health, or just even being able to use art as a way to cope with just mental health in itself. So I think that a lot of these artists are able to kind of use their creatives to not only cope with what they're going through, but also kind of share in the society just how to raise awareness through their own art and creatives.
Right. So all these artists are dealing with mental health issues, the artists at the event?
No. So honestly, we don't know, to be honest. So we don't know. We actually just, I guess, talk about the event. So we're doing a spoken word competition. We sent out pretty much a flyer encouraging artists to submit not only poems, but also their art visualizing bipolar disorder. So it could be maybe they're not affected, maybe a family member or a friend is affected, and just how they see it as an observation. So we don't know, to be honest, but we did thankfully receive over 30 submissions, over 30 entries, pretty much just kind of sharing how they visualize bipolar disorder.
Right. That's interesting. So let's talk about Chisovn, because you've been on the show before and you talked about it. Now, is it being more widely received? Are you seeing more? You said then that you don't call them patients, you actually call them clients. Yes. So are you seeing more clients now? People being receptive to getting help from this facility?
Well, we actually haven't opened our doors. So with Chisovn, we're actually in the process of fundraising to raise funds for the building development. So we haven't opened our doors yet, but of course, in due time, once we do, we're hoping that people will come to us and receive the help that they need.
Right, right.
And Dr. Ugo, in lieu of Bipolar Day night, what are some of the stigmas that are actually associated with the mental health issue, disorder?
Well, it's still the same stigma of mental health. People find it hard to talk about it. And it comes from just misunderstanding what it is.
Can it be cured?
Well, it can't be cured. Yeah, sorry.
It can't?
No.
Not for now. Not at least now we can say it can be cured, but it's a very manageable condition. As long as the person, gets therapy, gets psychoeducated, you have to know about your illness to know how to cope with it and, relate it to your lifestyle. And, you get to take drugs for the rest of your life. But it comes down to your choice and what you and your doctor decide to do. If you decide to just focus on therapy and it works for you, you go with it. If you decide to focus on drugs and combine it with therapy, which is most likely recommended, because the drugs are called mood stabilizers, so they stabilize your mood. They keep it just in the middle. If you decide to go through that route, that's great as well. But most importantly for us, when we are trying to advise patients, is that your lifestyle is as important as the treatment you get. You have to maintain a routine. You have to keep a diary. You have to do exercises. Like the same time, if I'm going to sleep, I'm going to sleep at the same time. Like I put yesterday. So maintain a routine that works for you, for your sleep, for your food, for your exercises, and then keep good friends around you that can actually encourage you to. They can monitor your mood changes and encourage you to see the doctor and see the therapist. Because what happens with bipolar is that with the manic phase, they sort of have this grandiosity. They have this overconfidence and great overblown self-esteem. So they don't believe something is wrong with them.
Right.
So they need someone close to them to say, let's have an understanding of what we're going to do when you get to the manic phase.
And as that person that's close to them, how can you actually help them? Because you said they have to have good people around them. So if you're that good person, what can you do?
I think the first help for you is to get to know what bipolar disorder is. Because before you can deal with something, you have to know about it. So if you understand the illness on its own, then you can know how to help someone. There's nothing much you can do apart from remind them to take the drugs, which is very important, to remind them to see the therapist, to remind them for their doctor's appointments, and just join them in what they're doing in terms of activities like exercises. You can follow them with exercise, like Amanda was saying earlier. You can recommend great food they can eat and maybe good places they can go to just chill out. But most importantly, try and advise them to go for therapy, because there are different kinds of therapy you can go for bipolar disorder. You can go for cognitive behavioral therapy, which kind of like swaps out your negative thoughts with positive thoughts.
Right.
You can go for interpersonal therapy, which teaches you how to relate to people, because there's a problem of relationship when it comes to bipolar disorder. And then we have social reading therapy, which sets you in a rhythm, teaches you how to live your life, basically. And all of these are important. All of these are important. We don't have such intensive therapy down here in Nigeria as much as we should. But that's something that needs to change very soon.
What would you say are some triggers? What would you say are some triggers?
Well, we have. I'm just going to look at the fact that we're in a stressful environment. We're in a stressful environment. I mean, down here in Lagos, and that's already one stressor. Just being traffic and the trauma of horns. And then we have nicotine and caffeine use. There's people that smoke, and you take a lot of coffee, and then you have just even moments of passion, people getting jobs, or people losing jobs, even marriages.
Right.
Anything that kind of like takes you away from the normal place you are, even change your locations to a new place or to a new environment, to a new feeling, it's a risk. But most importantly is alcohol and substance use disorders. So like if you're taking too much alcohol, if you're taking marijuana, weed, any substance abuse, there's a chance that you
What other initiatives can we expect from Manny and Chisovn this year?
So for us, we're actually focusing on anxiety disorder for April. We're going to kind of share stories from public figures on just kind of how they're dealing with it, how they're coping with it, and also dig deeper on the different types of anxiety disorders, panic attacks, phobias. So we're kind of touching on various mental illnesses per month. And so April for us is anxiety disorder.
Great. And Manny?
Yeah, similarly, we have we have various chapters in Nigeria for now. We have one in Lagos, we have another in Abuja, Ibadan, and Port Harcourt. and they focus on different events. So it's kind of exciting. If you with one chapter you're doing a different event. So maybe in Abuja we have a fashion thing coming up in June. In Lagos we have like a school thing. We're focusing on schools, and just our focus is on young people for now. So we're interested in going into universities to train young people on how to recognize the basic symptoms of mental illness and know about mental health advocacy, because I think the conversation needs to be had. We don't have enough discussion for mental health in Nigeria as much as we should. You know, looking at the environment we're in, where we know we're susceptible to mental illness as much as. I think when they say 1 in 4 people are actually mentally ill, means that within 4 of us here, at least maybe like 2 or 3 of us are actually mentally ill.
Oh, wow.
We don't know. You don't know. It might be you.
Yeah, you know. Well, it's been amazing talking to you. How can people keep up with your work, what you're doing?
Okay, we have our page. We have an Instagram page. We have a Twitter page at Mentally Aware NG.
Okay.
But we have this exciting new Instagram page where we actually get to share real life stories of people that are coping with these disorders. Okay. And they're courageous. They're champions. We call them our champions because they're courageous enough to bear their faces.
Amazing. And what's the Instagram account?
Stigma Zero channel. So you can just type Mentally Aware Nigeria Initiative on YouTube, and you know you're gonna find us.
And Dochi?
Yeah. So for us, it's at Chisovn, and that's our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So at Chisovn.
Great.
Thank you so much for
you.
coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's all from Dochi and Dr. Victor Ugo. Next up, we're talking about the mental health illness and specifically with bipolar. So we'll see you after the break.